Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. I'm Deputy Chief Aaron Hughley. I oversee our investigations division and also serve as our agency's public information officer. Standing here with me today is Chief Elvin Barron, Deputy Chief Jeffrey Jagowski, who oversees our patrol division, Detective Lieutenant Mustafa Beasy, Director Carolyn Norman with the Anti-Defamation League. Today, Chief Barron will update the public regarding a home invasion / armed robbery that occurred in the 16,000 block of Hilton here in the city of Southfield. The incident happened on Wednesday, October 2nd, 2024 at approximately 10:40 p.m. At that time, Southfield officers were dispatched on a black male in his late teens, early 20s that entered the home through the rear door. The suspect was armed with a handgun, and the occupants of the home were able to flee through the front door and await police arrival. I ask that you please hold all of your questions until the conclusion of the press briefing and turn off or mute any cell phones or other electronic devices. A press packet is available on the back table, which includes a USB drive of all files presented here today. And also for record-keeping purposes, we ask that you complete our media sign-in sheet also to the rear of the room. And without any further delay, Chief Barron.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. And as I always say, thank you for our media friends for being here. You know, this incident, sparked a lot of concern through our community, particularly our Jewish community, definitely due to all the national anti-Semitic acts that are occurring lately. And so it was without question, a lot of concerns came into the Southfield Police Department. Chief, what do we have? What's going on? What happened during this encounter? So I'm going to go over the details of this incident. Certainly we're going to see video that we were able to secure, and also talk about, who this suspect is. And I'm so grateful that we have Director Carolyn Norman from the Anti-Defamation League here to join us as well. And so, this incident started Wednesday, October 2nd, at approximately 10:40 p.m., where Southfield police officers responded to the 16,000 block of Hilton Street of report of a home invasion in progress, and also an armed robbery that just occurred. It is important to note the homeowner is a Jewish rabbi who was hosting a dinner party for approximately 25 U of M students at that location. The victim, which we're going to describe as victim number one, was preparing food in the kitchen when she heard the back door open and shut. She walked to the rear of the home and observed a male suspect pointing a handgun at her as she stood in the kitchen. The suspect stated, "I'm taking everything. Give me everything." The victim immediately ran through the house and into an adjacent room where she notified her guests that an intruder was armed and inside of the residence. The male suspect, who was described as a black male, thin build, wearing a distinctive orange and black hooded sweatshirt and black pants and a ski mask, was the one inside of the residence. Also important to note, although he was wearing a ski mask, the nose and the eyes were exposed to our witnesses. While doing a canvass of the area immediately following the armed robbery, Southfield police officers observed a suspect matching the description given by the victim. The officers observed the male suspect enter a residence in the 16,000 block of Pennsylvania. Southfield officers conducted what we call a contain and call out. So as I pause right here, oftentimes when we have suspects, particularly armed suspects, we have reason to believe that they're inside of a location. Rather than calling for an all-out armed barricaded suspect, based on the information that we have, we'll contain the area, and then we'll call out all the occupants outside, and then after we have control of the occupants, we go in and search the location. Southfield officers conducted that contain and call out at the residence, and it was observed that the suspect had already fled prior to our arrival. 3 occupants, however, exited the residence and advised that no one was inside the home. Note, the residence is the home of our suspect's female friend. Officers spoke with her, and she stated that the suspect was at her residence earlier at approximately 9 p.m., which is a false statement based on our video evidence. According to the suspect's female friend, she drove the suspect to a relative's home in the city of Oak Park. We secured evidence that the suspect contacted his friend multiple times and sent her text messages as well. Southfield officers reviewed Ring doorbell footage of the suspect arriving at his friend's home at approximately 10:49 p.m., which is 9 minutes after the initial 911 call. The male was described as wearing the same clothing as described by the victim, with that orange lettering and black clothing. Southfield officers and detectives executed a search warrant at the 15,000 block of Northgate Drive in the city of Oak Park. Southfield officers arrested the suspect's friend for obstruction of justice, and she was given a $500 bond, which she posted. On Sunday, October 7th, at 8:02 p.m., Southfield officers conducted a surveillance operation in the 11,000 block of St. Mary's in the city of Detroit. Also of note, this address that our officers were able to identify is believed to be a relative of our suspect. Southfield officers observed the suspect enter the passenger seat of a 2017 Ford Fusion being driven by an 18-year-old female. Southfield officers surveilled the vehicle into the area of Telegraph and Puritan in the city of Detroit. Officers initiated a traffic stop, and the suspect was taken into custody without incident. Detectives submitted this incident to the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office, and the following charges have been authorized. For Bryson Bijan Trice, Count 1, armed robbery, Count 2, first-degree home invasion, and also per the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office, additional charges may be pending. He was arraigned today in front of Magistrate King. He was given a $750,000 bond, cash or surety. Our suspect is an 18-year-old resident of the city of Southfield, and again, he was arraigned today, actually moments before we called this press conference. So, we're going to show some videos, certainly some stills as well of our suspect, highlighting the clothing description that was given by our victims, and then how we were able to leverage technology to apprehend our suspect. But we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about the great work of this Southfield Police Department, starting with our detective, our lead detective, who worked countless hours securing search warrants, keeping our command staff informed, and also keeping informed what we call our tactical surveillance unit. I'm going to say it again, our tactical surveillance unit. And I'm going to tell you about this unit. They're comprised of a sergeant who leads this particular unit. They go out and they search for the worst of the worst in society. When there's a violent crime, we know to give the case to our tactical crime suppression unit. And this unit goes out and really does a tremendous job of exercising patience, also, again, working with our detectives to secure search warrants, and then, most importantly, when it comes to bringing these suspects in custody, these dangerous suspects, they do it with professionalism. And so you're going to see that transpire in the video. I mentioned the fact that this unit, has an advanced level of patience. Many of them, if not all of them, are also part of our SWAT team. So that gives you some idea of their level of professionalism, their level of training and tactical training, because when you have a unit like this, and as I described before, a unit that goes out and looks for the worst of society, and not just for Southfield. We've helped other cities with this unit, with some of their violent fugitives. So again, I want to continue to just marvel at the work of the men and women of the Southfield Police Department, because this individual was out there. I got calls all weekend. This incident happened on a Wednesday. My phone never stopped ringing from Wednesday all the way to this morning, asking about what the apprehension attempts were and was the suspect in custody. Our commitment to the community was that he was going to be placed in custody and will be very soon. So again, I want to thank you all for your patience. And at this time, I'm going to show some video and some stills, and then we'll open it back up for questions. And I do want you to hear from Director Norman as well from the ADL. So if we can cut the lights and then show the So this right here is a video captured from a neighborhood in close proximity of the assault and the robbery, where you'll see that orange lettering that was described by our victim after the robbery had occurred. Next. And this is a video of us arresting a suspect in the city of Detroit. And again, you'll see our tactics, our professionalism in bringing the suspect, violent suspect, into custody without incident. Play the video, please.
Don't move! Hold him right there. Unlock the door with the right hand. Unlock the door with the right hand. Down track. Put your hands like that. What's your name? What's your name? All right, stand up, you do. Sit up.
Thank you. You can turn the lights back on, and I'll wait a few moments as you all get adjusted. So I think the number one question that I received was, Chief, was this, or is there any evidence to suggest this is an anti-Semitic act? So based on the evidence and based on what the suspect said during the actual robbery, and then even based on our post-arrest interview, at this time there's no evidence to suggest this was an anti-Semitic act. However, you still never know a person's true intentions. But right now, there's no evidence that suggests such. But our investigation continues. Again, as you heard from the prosecutor's office, mentioned that additional charges may be pending. Those things could possibly change. But right now, the evidence does not lead us to any direct anti-Semitism. But again, the investigation continues. So this time I'm going to bring up Director Carolyn Norwood. Certainly, I consider a great friend of mine, always working together to make sure that we communicate, we share information, and that way we give the community what they need as it relates to calming all fears. Director?
Thank you so much, Chief. I really appreciate your work and the work of your team. It's always... I'm always grateful to work with the Southfield team that has a level of professionalism. It starts with the chief and it carries through every single member of his team. Today is October 7th, which for hundreds of thousands of people, Jewish and non-Jewish, is a very somber and emotional day. And this particular incident happening on the Jewish New Year brought very, very heightened levels of anxiety to the Jewish community because of the proximity to the Jewish holidays and also to 10/7. There have been an extreme number of unprovoked attacks against American Jews in this country, and that's why the chief took such great pains to get a suspect in custody. And as I said before, I applaud the Southfield Police. The team is led by Chief Barron for understanding how much the timing of this crime concerned the Jewish community. I was one of the people calling Chief Barron a lot. He and I spoke multiple times over the weekend, and I applaud the fact that the suspect was apprehended without incident. The chief told me he was confident that would happen. I believe him, and I believe that the charges are good. Sometimes crimes happen to Jewish people. Sometimes Jewish people are victims. Sometimes the incident is related to their characteristic of being Jewish, and sometimes not. Not every crime that happens to a Jewish person is motivated as a hate crime. I want to say that. And again, the Jewish community feels under attack. So I applaud the quick apprehension of this suspect, and if additional charges are brought, I think that that's at the discretion of law enforcement and the prosecutors, and I appreciate the Southfield team tremendously.
Thank you, Director. And also, before we open up the floor for questions, one thing that is clear in this case, again, this incident happened on a Wednesday. We brought him in custody Sunday evening, but our suspect knew that we were looking for him. We made contact with his family. We advised his family that we had an idea that we needed to speak with him because he was our primary suspect in this case. And then he chose to elude us, not knowing that our tactical crime suppression unit was now activated. And so he had plenty of time to turn himself in. I'm sure he heard from his friends and his loved ones, but again, he chose not to turn himself in, therefore we wouldn't found him. With that, I open up the floor for questions.
The rabbi, did he receive any threats prior to this incident?
Not that I'm aware of. Certainly the community has, and I believe he has associated with U of M the whole thing that's going on there. But as far as this case is concerned, I think this was isolated to this one suspect. Yes, sir.
As far as the invasion goes, did he act alone?
Our evidence suggests that he acted alone. However, as I mentioned before, his female friend, was arrested for obstruction. And so whether that is her being involved directly or indirectly, he had help. And so that's why she's been held accountable. But right now, to answer your question, the arrest of him, he is our lone suspect.
What did he take?
So he took a purse that was belonging to one of our victims and then fled out the door before he can grab anything else. So he may have been more startled once he was observed, grabbed what he could, and then ran.
Were you able to recover the gun?
So no, so additional search warrants are in process. So we're going to kind of look around to places we believe he may have been, and if we recover that, there will certainly be something we'll add to our list of evidence.
Does he have a criminal history?
So no criminal history, and what that means to me is that this is probably the first time that he's been caught, because you don't just graduate to committing a home invasion and armed robbery. To me, based on my experience, I'm certain that my team will testify to, generally people take steps towards doing something that's so bold and so brazen. So again, no criminal history, but again, nothing that was reported.
You said there was about 25 people in the home?
Yes, 25 people in the home, just having a good time, celebrating the holiday festivities at the rabbi's house, and unfortunately, they were victimized by this individual.
Is there any reason to believe that he knew that all of these people were going to be in this house? It's kind of strange to have a home invasion when there's party happening.
Well, I thought about that as well. Actually, glad you brought that up. Because one thing you know about this particular community, it is a community that does have a high concentration of Jewish residents. Certainly when you look at the night in question, to the point where you're making, a lot of cars are outside, there's activity. Even though he snuck through the back door, you could still, I would imagine, hear conversations and commotion going on. So that's why I said this individual was very bold to commit this armed robbery by himself, but maybe the coward that he is, coming in there with a handgun, he thought that he would be able to control the occupants and then take what he wanted, just based off the statements that he gave. I want everything, give me everything. But I believe at some point during that encounter, he had a second thought based on a number of people there, and then fled so that he wouldn't ultimately be arrested. He's still in custody. Again, a $750,000 bond, cash assurity. All right. Thank you all.